Hi, everyone. It's one thing to get unwell, but when the experts that you trust to guide your recovery seem even more lost than you are, it can feel like rock bottom suddenly has a basement. My guest today faced that very moment and turned it into a launchpad for an incredible transformation in her life. If you're a longtime watcher or listener, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Raelan Agle. On this channel, we uncover real recovery stories from conditions like CFS and long COVID. And through these conversations, we explore strategies that work, we spark hope, and show that healing is not just a possibility, it is absolutely a reality. Today, I'm excited to welcome Raha Saber, tuning in from London, England. In 2021, Raha was bedridden with severe CFS, grappling with emotional and physical struggles that made her question if life like that was even worth living. But instead of giving up, she became her own health detective and advocate, and after finding her root cause and addressing Sjögren syndrome, she experienced a stunning turnaround, feeling better than ever just 5 days into her new protocol. Raha's story is such an inspiring reminder that recovery isn't just about getting past illness, it's about reclaiming your life fully. Raha, so amazing to have you here today. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So, where to start? Take us back. Tell us about your journey.
Okay. So first of all, can I just say one thing that I was kind of talking about earlier was that I was a bit emotional yesterday thinking about this, that when I was really, really bedridden at my worst, I discovered your channel and it really, really helped me. It helped my morale. It gave me hope that I could get better, but I didn't think I would get that much better, but I was still hopeful. And I got really emotional thinking, I can't believe that I am here telling you that I am much better. It's just, it's amazing. I can't believe it, but yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, and I want to thank you. I'll be thanking you a lot.
Oh, that's so amazing. I'm so happy for you. I think we all have moments. I was telling you I wanted to get into this recovery binder because I didn't know about recovery stories. So that binder was the dream for me. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing.
You were that, yeah, you're that binder for me. Your channel and you. Yeah, I can start talking about how everything started. So basically, I didn't realize that I was having issues quite like years ago, but it would come and go, and I didn't really understand it. So as far back as maybe 2014, I would have moments where I would have to rest, or I came across an email I had sent a friend of mine, and I actually used the word fatigue to him. I said, I feel fatigued. And I was really surprised when I saw that email because before chronic fatigue, I wouldn't ever use the word fatigue. It would always be, oh, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, because it wasn't fatigue. But then I realized I was feeling fatigued at certain times, but there were short periods. And then throughout the years, until it got really, really bad, I had other symptoms as well, like brain fog or eye issues, or sometimes my body would be stiff. I couldn't walk very much. And there was always a reason. So the first one, I lost like a stone. I lost a lot of weight, and the doctor said I had a thyroid issue. Then that seemed to settle itself. Then a couple of years later, I had a tummy bug. And that was when I started feeling really bad. And after that, after the tummy bug, I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't walk to go to the shops. And it was my first experience of not being able to move and do things. But I think the doctors put me on steroids at that point because they thought I had something else. They thought I had PMR, that's it. But which I didn't. But they put me on steroids, and that helped me do everything and work and everything. I'm trying to remember what happened after that. So this was, so I will forward because it was just like bits and pieces. But then in 2020, when COVID happened, I was working as in a estate agency as a lettings agent. In that year, my boss died, my best friend died. I had to take over the company because The other partner was just too devastated to do anything. So I was sales, lettings, office manager, everything. And then on top of my best friend dying, and I just couldn't take all that. And in time of COVID, I wouldn't get it. I didn't have a car to go and show properties, so I would walk miles. And I loved walking. I've always loved walking. That was not a problem. But it seems like all these things added up. And one day I was walking miles to my mom's and miles back. On the way back, I felt really bad and I couldn't move in the street. And I was wondering, how do I ask for help? What do I do? I think I kind of like sat at a ledge of something, waited, and finally I was well enough to get on a bus, go home. Once I got home, this is in March or April 2021. Once I got home, got into bed, that was it. I was in bed for at least a month or two. And then lockdown had happened. Nobody could come to visit me. So it was really, really hard time. I couldn't listen to anybody talking. I couldn't watch anything. I couldn't read anything. I couldn't talk. I couldn't cook. I bugged something in the microwave, but that took all the energy. I probably didn't brush my teeth for weeks. I just couldn't do a thing. And I'd never experienced such a thing before. And I was on the telephone to my doctors who had been testing me for years to see what was wrong with me. And they had found out maybe a year before, didn't tell me, that I have something called Sjögren. And Sjögren's is an autoimmune disease, and it affects your moisture glands. People get dry eyes and dry mouth, dry everything. And it can affect, more than that, it can affect your organs. 5% of people have Sjögren's can get non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It gives you, a lot of people get chronic fatigue and brain fog. So the brain fog was so bad that even when I could go out, I had to write notes to remind myself to put my shoes on. It was really bad. If I went into the street, and I'd be very familiar with that street before, I'd be like, where am I? How do I get back? And it was a seriously bad brain fog. It made me think of that film. Was it called Memento or something? And I had to write notes for absolutely everything. So after months of not being able to move, I eventually started going out to the park next door to my house. It was literally 30 seconds away. I would just go sit there or lie on the grass, and that would be it. Then come back home. And this has basically gone on for years, since 2021, and I had variations of it. But all throughout, the feeling of that chronic fatigue, heavy feeling that you get all over your body, that would never go. The year before last, I found ways that did help with my chronic fatigue. For example, I discovered that thiamine helped me for a couple of months, and I have a YouTube channel, and I did this big thing on thiamine helping chronic fatigue. And usually my YouTube channel has about 20 views, but this one has 15,000 and hundreds of comments. And it obviously does help people. Yeah, but then I thought I was well enough to be just my old self. So I started walking miles again, doing different things, just being normal, and I crashed. And I crashed really badly. And I realized that, okay, maybe there are things that can help me, but I just don't know exactly what they are yet. Maybe I should understand that I shouldn't do too much when I am better and take it slowly. I mean, I know this, but at the time you just don't think, oh, I'm okay. When you feel fine and the fatigue goes, you think, okay, I do this. But no. And then another thing I discovered later were magnesium baths. And one specific magnesium bath that I used would take the fatigue away for a day, but then I would get fatigued again. So I was thinking, that's interesting. Maybe I need some magnesium. But telling my GP, my doctor, about these things, they were like, oh, we can't really check your magnesium properly. They did say that the thiamine can help people for a little while until the levels are even, and then it won't help. And they said to me, look, your chronic fatigue is just going to be, we can't do anything about it. You're just going to have chronic fatigue for the rest of your life because you have Sjögren's. And so at this point, what would happen is every day, if I felt a bit better, I'd feel hopeful. And then if I then would crash or feel bad, then I would be like, okay, just accept this. Just accept that you're going to be like this. And then 10 minutes later or a day later, I'd be like, no, 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 I can't accept this. I've got to find a way. There are people out there who get better. Why not me? Those are usually the times where I would watch your videos to get that inspiration again, that motivation again. And then there came a point where I was just getting worse and worse. I am very close to my daughter, and it was her birthday. And I just couldn't get out of bed to get into a cab that would take me 2 streets away to be able to be there for her birthday. And she's an adult, but like we're so close that I've never ever missed her birthday. And that really upset me. I just thought, what is the quality of life? I have no quality of life. I can't do a thing. I'm just in bed, not able to do anything, to take in anything. So I went to the doctors again and I said, give me something. I totally understand people who are very ill and they don't want to live anymore because they don't have a quality of life. And I was surprised because I'm usually a very positive person, but I was just like, no, now I get it. This is not the way to live a life. So they gave me steroids again. Within a day, no fatigue again. They only gave it to me for a couple of weeks because obviously steroids are not good for the body. And I was so happy I went to a gallery on the other side of London. I missed doing that. And I really enjoyed that time. And it gave me a break and a respite. But also, it made me think with Sjogren's, a lot of the problem, not all of it, but a lot of it is inflammation, and steroids take down inflammation. So I was thinking, well, how can I do this naturally? Long story short, and I went to saw a private rheumatologist because I thought maybe these NHS ones are not giving me enough time. And she was worse than the NHS one. And at that point, I was also watching videos on functional medicine practitioners. And there were all the big people in America, like Dr. Hyman and, all the usual. But nobody ever talked about Sjogren's, but they did talk about chronic fatigue for some of them for different reasons. And lupus, which is an autoimmune disease that is, it's like they say, like a sister to Sjogren's. And I thought, this is what I need, this kind of thinking. So I Googled functional medicine practitioner Sjogren's London. And I found this guy. They're called Beyond Sjögren. I was so unwell. I had to keep delaying just the initial half an hour consultation because I couldn't think, and my brain fog was really bad. I was so breathless with the fatigue. Finally, we met online. And as soon as we spoke, and he asked the questions I was waiting for somebody to ask. I can't even think what, but just normal, what you would think people would ask you. What's worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? When did this start? And then he said, think about it if you want to. And I'm like, yeah, of course I want to work with you. And after that initial consultation, which it was just a hello and how can we help? I actually physically felt better because somebody was listening to me and they were helping me in the way that I felt I needed help. And I didn't have to do all this investigatory work myself. I had piles of my medical blood tests and letters, and I'm going through them and highlighting them and what does this mean and what can I do and can I get more mitochondria and how can I get a biochemistry book. And I'm like, what am I doing? Even, it would take years and years for a professional practitioner to go through this stuff. And with the brain fog and the fatigue, I just can't. So I got rid of everything, all my paperwork. And I said, okay, you can help me. And he did.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is so many things when you're talking. It just brought up so many memories for me. I forgot about my own binder. I had a huge binder, like a 3 or 4 inch. And it was so overwhelming. And I thought I should be doing something with all this information. And in the end, I don't know what your experience is, but that binder did not have any of my answers. So, but I just, it's like the Bible, like the answer is in here somewhere. And it really wasn't. It's so overwhelming. And when your brain isn't working properly, and just how powerful it is just to have, it's such a simple thing. One doctor who's like, hey, let me ask you some basic questions and let's work together and figure this out. It's just, it means the world.
Yeah. look at your, all of you, your diet, your lifestyle, the people around you, any trauma that you've had in the past, what triggers things, all these things. They were never
Yeah.
asked from the hospital.
Yeah. So what
Um,
happened from there when you started working with him?
so so he went away and came back. He asked me for a 3-day diet. He got all my medical reports from my doctor. So he really studied everything from God knows when, like decades. And he went through everything and he studied everything and came back to me only like a week later. I was expecting like a month later. Came back to me a week later and said, right, um, why don't you? And I was on some supplements. I told him about the thiamine and the magnesium. And he said, okay, well, if these things have worked in the past, like incorporate them, but then let's support other things that you need. And I guess with Sjogren's, there's a lot of physical things that you do need because it's attacking the body. And so it is attacking, like making things more difficult. So you need extra help where maybe with Emmy, you may not need. I know that you spent, I remember a video where you said you spent a lot of money on something, but it was just like not necessary. But I guess with Sjogren's, because it's an autoimmune disease, maybe, or everybody's different, I suppose, but they really helped me. So, and just changing my diet really helped me. And I thought I was being healthy at that point, but I could have been a lot healthier. So within 5 days, I was fine. I was back to my normal self of following his protocol, and not even all the supplements had come in yet. So it was like half what he had told me to do. And not only was I fine like how I used to be, I was like how I was in my 20s. I felt so healthy. I was, I remember just feeling, that great feeling of not having that fatigue all over you. And there's a park, if people know London, North London, Primrose Hill, and it's got a steep hill where you could go up and look at the view. And I went up that hill where before I would have to be in the flats at the bottom for 5 minutes and go home. I went up that hill and it felt like I was walking on a flat surface. I just felt amazing and I had a lot of energy since then. So this was February 2023. And in general, I am so much better. I can sit here talking. I don't have that fatigue feeling. I was doing stuff. If I was unwell, I would have been in bed all day, like just getting rest so I could sit here and talk with you. And instead, I went for a walk on the heath in the morning, and I did this and that, and I feel fine and great. So I'm just a very, very different person, back to my old self up to a point. So I do have crashes still. I had one a few months ago when we were going to have we were going to record a few months ago and I had had a crash and I couldn't. And that was my first main crash since 2023. And the reason for that was I was looking after my friend's dog and cat and house and work them there. And I was walking the dog 4 times a day and I wasn't really getting any sleep. I was going up on my phone. It said that I was doing about 25 of flights of stairs every day and in the middle of that. And my body just couldn't handle all that. So I had a crash. But whenever I do have a crash, which has been that time, I'm kind of not feeling my best now since Christmas. And another time, they last a lot less. They don't last very long. And also, they're not as bad. What I said to him was my crashes are still better than what I was like when I was normal before this one.
Wow. So you had really rapid results with his
Yeah.
protocol. So what are if you could just sum up, what are the main components that were helpful for you that helped you to achieve that?
And he did say it happens, but it doesn't happen. I don't think it happens often or for everyone. But yeah, so I think there was a lot. There was the physical things and the vitamins and the minerals and the diet, 100%. But also being heard, having somebody who understands you and is there to help you, and you're not fighting. And I hate using the word fighting. I hate using any, and I know you do as well. It's not, I try not to use it in my vocabulary anymore. Um, I just try to stay, not be in fight or flight, basically. Anything that triggers that. Another thing I noticed even before his protocol was meditation really helped me. I think he was looking at a lot of root causes, and one of my root causes has been trauma and stress. So for me, keeping that down really helps. So even when I wasn't doing anything and I started meditating, it did help my fatigue. So I know that being stressed is a huge thing for me. And all my life I've been under a lot of stress. And actually now I can't cope with as much stress. And I don't want to. So I'm always trying to do everything that keeps me calm. So I think that really helps for me personally. Meditation, being the parasympathetic in every way I can. Definitely diet because of possible mitochondria problems, which we're going to actually test to know for sure. So everything that helps support mitochondria, so energy, sleep, good sleep. I know it's so, and of course, when I was in it, if somebody had said to me, "Oh, all you need is some good sleep," and that would not do anything. Although, yes, I mean, probably, because even though we're in bed, we're not getting good sleep. But you have to get to a stage where you can actually have good sleep. So one really, really huge important thing for me, which is going to be the case for the rest of my life, is boundaries, having boundaries, because I've always been, before all this, I used to be a people pleaser. I used to be a people pleaser. I did everything for everyone. I mean, I wanted to. I would be, people would always say, "Oh, she goes above and beyond. She's so helpful." So, yeah. So I would do a lot on top of my city job at the time and all that kind of stuff. I always did a lot for everyone. And I could never say no because I wanted to help, but I was just piling things on myself. And I always found that I was putting myself last. I wasn't really doing that much for me. It was always kind of being there for other people and helping them with their lives and thinking about what they think could be and all sorts of ridiculous things. So when I had the chronic fatigue, it was kind of, it sounds crazy, but it has been a gift to me now that I'm better because it let me, I had no choice. I had absolutely no choice but to put up boundaries. And at the beginning of it, my mom was still asking me to help her with things. And she was saying, "Why are you not helping? There's nothing wrong with you." Well, not when I was really bad, when I was a little bit better. Um, you do things for yourself. You need to help me with this and that and the other. I was like, sorry, that's just the old me. I can't do these things anymore. And I've had to tell people that so close. People accept it. It's not really a problem. The people who don't accept it are not the right people in your life anyway. The people who do accept it are the people that you need in your life, that are the right kind of energy that you need. So I put up boundaries. And whenever I move a little bit out of that, make the boundary a little bit bigger, then I do feel that I'm, for example, the dog sitting. I mean, I did feel that I was fine, so I could do it. I didn't know what my limit was. And then I said to them, "I'm sorry, I can't do that again. Maybe just a weekend." Whereas in the past, I would have been like, "Okay, I'll try again." So yeah, I think for me, number one thing has been boundaries that have helped me.
It's interesting. I've been reading a lot about people pleasing lately, and I never fully understood where that was coming from. And a lot of these personality characteristics that many of us have, seem to have, who face these conditions, are actually thought of as good things, like the overachievers
Yeah.
and the perfectionists and the
And
people
a perfectionist.
pleasers. Yeah, but like, of course, I want to do things for other people. This is a good thing. But when you break it down, for most people, it comes out of a fear response because you think it feels safe in this moment for me to just do what you want. Like
Yeah.
it's way more scary to set boundaries and to redefine the relationship and tell people what I need and
Yeah.
say we can't always do it your way. How do we, so it's in the short term it feels like safety, but it creates this really problematic cycle of long term
Yeah, you're right.
not being true to yourself. So I just
Yeah. And I was like that since, obviously since childhood. So it was
yeah.
being there for my mom, or yeah, mainly. And then from taking that on to relationships and people and everything. I remember watching something with Gabor. I don't know how is it Mate or Mate?
I believe it's Mate.
Yeah, and he was saying that when there's like he looked at people who had illnesses and he looked at their obituaries. And they would say, oh, she was such a giving person. She always helped everyone. She always, and he said, that's not a good thing. You know what? It's too much. I mean, I
Yeah.
would volunteer at hospitals. I just created too many, but it's fine to do a little bit, but
Yeah.
have limits. And yeah, and a perfectionist as well. I definitely have had to let go of that. I still have it a little bit. Why not? But not to that extent.
Yeah, it's really so helpful and profound once you understand what's underlying all these things.
Yeah.
Perfectionism, we say, for many people comes out of shame. Like, I'm not good enough
Yeah.
unless the things are perfect. I'm not worthy unless I get everything perfect. And the overachievers, this can also come from just really critical self-talk. And I need 8 more accolades to be worthy, and I need to run. Now I did a half marathon, now I need to do an ultra marathon. And so it's okay to run marathons and to get accolades, but it's what is that voice inside you saying when you're doing it? Same with the people pleasing. It's okay to do things for other people, but where is it coming from, and what do you believe about yourself? For me to be worthy, for me to be a good person, for me to have value, I need to just do things for everybody else. That's what makes things okay.
And I never even knew that this was a word. People pleasing, it was a thing. It's actually Jeremy from Beyond Sjögren. When I was explaining, he's like, "Oh, okay, you're a people pleaser." That sounds so horrible in a way. I was like, "What do you know, a people pleaser?"
Yeah, but anyways, it also doesn't sound bad. I'm like, oh, you must be a nice person. Like, you do good things for people. But yeah, it's
yeah, pleasing everyone. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, boundaries has been a huge thing. And if it wasn't for me becoming ill, having had such a horrible time, I would have never learned to have, I was never good at boundaries. And now that I'm better, I can set them and not feel guilty about it. I can be there for people in a much better way. I'm not showing up all exhausted and like, how can I help you? Now I actually have some energy and be like, right, I can help you now. It's a big difference. I mean, people are getting a much better rap.
So, what do you see for yourself from here?
I'm taking it step by step. I am realizing that I'm always listening to my body. So I just have to keep doing that and making sure that I don't push myself too much, even though I am so much better. I actually asked Jeremy from Beyond Children's if he would do another consultation with me so that we can tweak on things and see how things are going. I've asked him if I could see him like every few months. The last time we saw each other was a year ago until last week. So I just feel really grateful that I have him because just having somebody to talk to about these things, and like you would at your normal doctor, but I can't. It doesn't work with a normal doctor. So with my functional medicine practitioner, nutritionist, and naturopath, um, and just take day by day. I'm doing a little bit of work now, but I'm making sure it's only a few hours. Yeah, I don't know. Just sitting here talking with you, I have to say I feel pretty elated. I feel because sometimes you don't realize how far you've gone. Sometimes you don't. I mean, there have been times where I'll look at something and I'm like, oh my goodness, was I that bad? Because you start taking it for granted again, like how
Yeah.
not having fatigue until you have a crash or you look back. And I think I should just keep reminding myself like I'm in a good place and not push myself and keep those boundaries and keep looking at my life holistically. My body, my everything, brain, my nutrition, my outside like walks and the energy and yeah, just take it. I don't really have a plan. Just take every day as it comes.
I think that's a good plan. Yeah.
I am. Oh, actually, no. But there is one thing because I did start doing an exercise. I only did it once because I couldn't go. This was like last year, but I'm going to start doing Tai Chi in a class from this weekend, and it's a 2-hour class. And I told them that I'm only going to do an hour, and I might even need to sit down for rest. I want to build up on the physical exercise and things, and that's what Jeremy and I were talking about to try to do things that would support my having more energy.
Well, I'm so happy for you, Raha. It is listening to your story. It sounds like a nightmare. Like you really went through something horrific, and it's just incredible just to see you sitting here talking, living your life, happy, hopeful, feeling good about the future, taking it day by day, paying it forward, sharing your story here. So thank you so much for doing this. It's wonderful to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. I know that, these recovery interviews mean a lot to people. For people watching, I'll link just a playlist to all the recovery interviews here. There are so many. So just scroll through, and some people say they bookmark their favorite ones. So on a more challenging day, they have a face that makes them happy and a story that gives them hope. So just wonderful.
Me too.
And wonderful that you're here and being that person for other people out there. So yeah, thank you everyone watching. Thank you again, Raha, and I hope to see you in one of these next recovery videos here.